Lecture 4 on digestive system will be on stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped structure that receives the bolus from the esophagus and aids in chemical and mechanical digestion. This is a diagram. This is a picture of a stomach having the J shape. So let us discuss the anatomy of the stomach. Stomach is an extended part of the alimentary canal between the esophagus and the small intestine, and it is specialized for accumulation of ingested food, which is chemically and mechanically prepared for digestion and passage into small intestine. The stomach is J-shaped, like an expanded J, and it has a short laser curvature that forms medial surface and long greater curvature that form the lateral surface. The shape and size of the uh, stomach vary from individual to individual and from one meal to the next. And location, it is located partly found in left hypochondriac region, partly in epigastric region, partly in umbilical region, and partly in left lumbar region, and it extends between the levels of vertebra T7 and L3. So this is the stomach structure that is showing us the J expanded shape. So this is the esophagus where that enters into the stomach. This is the cardia, the part of the stomach. We are going to discuss it. We have the fundus, which is also the second part of the stomach. We have the pylorus, the part that continues with the small intestine, and this is the body. And this is the duodenum. That is the one that first part of small intestine that continues with the major function of the stomach is to help in storage of ingested food, mechanical breakdown of ingested food, disruption of chemical compounds in food material by acid and enzymes, and production of intrinsic factor, a glycoprotein required for absorption of vitamin B12 in small intestine. So the location is partly found in left hypochondriac region, partly in epigastric region, partly in umbilical region, and partly in left lumbar region. The position of the stomach depends on the following: the content of the stomach, whether empty or food content is there, the position of the individual. So if someone is in a supine position or in a standing position, the change that it will affect the position of the stomach, and the respiratory movement, which means as the diaphragm moves up and down, it change the position of the stomach. The capacity. The stomach has the average capacity of 2 to 3 liters in adults, and in infant, the stomach can expand to hold at least 30 milliliter. There are two openings to the stomach. We have the cardiac orifice and the pyloric orifice. The cardiac orifice is the one that serves as passage for content of esophagus into stomach. That is the first opening. That is, it is found between the entry of esophagus to the stomach. And we have the pyloric orifice, which serves as passage of stomach content to the small intestine. That is the part at which the stomach empties content into the small. So this is the this is longitudinal section of the stomach, where we have the cardiac orifice. That is the point at which the esophagus empties its content into the stomach, and we have the pyloric orifice. That is the part at which the stomach content exits into the small intestine. So, and that pyloric sphincter is one that control the opening and closing of the stomach, so that you could be able to control the content that leave the stomach into the small intestine. Part of the stomach. The stomach is divided into four parts, which are the cardia, it is the part surrounding the cardiac orifice. And we have the fundus, which is the dilated superior part of the stomach that is related to the left dome of the diaphragm and limited inferiorly by horizontal plate of cardiac orifice, and it is usually full of gas. The third part is the body of the stomach that extends from the level of the cardiac orifice to the level of the incisura angularis. That is a constant notch in the lower part of the lesser curvature. And pylorus is the last part of the stomach, which is a funnel shaped outflow region of the stomach. Its wide part is called the pyloric antrum that leads into the pyloric canal, which is the narrow part. And this pylorus is the distal sphincteric region of pyloric part, marked by a circular layer of thick, smooth muscles, which control discharge of stomach contents through the pyloric orifice. So this is the diagram that is showing us the parts we've mentioned. We have the cardia, that is the first part surrounding the cardiac orifice. We have the fundus, that is the second part, which is limited inferiorly by the horizontal plate of cardiac orifice. We have the body, that is the major part of the stomach between the fundus and the pyloric antrum. And we have the pylorus, which is the last part or the funnel shaped outflow region of the stomach. And there are two curvatures as seen in this diagram of the stomach. We have the lesser curvature that form the short concave border of the stomach and is found at the medial surface of the stomach. And we have the greater curvature, which forms the longer convex border of the stomach, which is found at the lateral surface of the stomach. So the lesser curvature of the stomach is there is a peritoneal attachment at that place called the lesser omentum, and at the greater curvature there is a peritoneal attachment or it makes sense with there called the greater omentum. And the internal structure of the stomach is called the rugae. So the interior of the stomach is covered by a mucous layer that protects the surface from gastric acid the stomach glands secrete. So when contracted, the gastric mucosa is thrown into longitudinal ridges as seen in the diagram where we mark that is mark rugae. So that is the longitudinal ridges found in the stomach called the gastric rugae or gastric folds. So this is the two curvature of the stomach. The lesser curvature that forms the short concave border of the stomach, that is the lesser curvature, and is found at the medial surface. And we have the greater curvature that forms the longer border and is at the convex part. It's a form of a convex at the lateral surface of. So the wall of the stomach is muscular and contain three layers of fibers. So the first fibers is the longitudinal fibers, which are the most superficial fibers of the muscular wall of the stomach, and they are concentrated along the curvatures. So along the curvatures of the stomach we have the longitudinal fibers, while the circular fibers they lie beneath the longitudinal fibers, and they are the ones that encircle the body of the stomach, and they are greatly thickened at the pylorus to form the pyloric sphincter, which is one that control the discharge of stomach content through the pyloric orifice. And we have few circular fibers in the region of the fundus, while the oblique fibers are the ones that form the innermost muscle coat of the stomach, and they loop over the fundus and pass along the anterior and posterior wall, running almost parallel with the lesser curvature. So relation of the stomach. What are the organs that are related to the organ that can be seen both at the anterior and that can be seen anterior to the stomach and also posterior to the stomach? So the anterior relation, when you are looking at the stomach, what are those things you are going to encounter anteriorly that is found anterior to the stomach? We have the anterior abdominal wall, the left costal margin, the left pleura and lung, the diaphragm, and left lobe of liver. These are the organs or structures that are related anteriorly to the stomach. While the structure that are related posteriorly, that can be found posterior to the stomach, are the lesser sac, the diaphragm, the spleen, the left suprarenal gland or adrenal gland, upper part of left kidney, the splenic artery, the pancreas, transverse mesocolon and transverse colon. These are the structures that are related posteriorly to the stomach. Blood supply of the stomach. The arteries are direct or indirect branches of the celiac artery, and they are five in number. So the first one, the left gastric artery and right gastric artery, that supply the lesser curvature. We have the short gastric artery that supply the fundus and body of the stomach. We have the left gastroepiploic and right gastroepiploic artery that supply the greater curvature of the stomach, and the veins that drain the the stomach are into the water circulation, and they are also five in number and correspond to the arteries. Digestion in the stomach. As you know that the stomach is made up of glands, and it secretes a juice called a gastric juice. So stomach also perform preliminary digestion of protein by pepsin, and some digestion of carbohydrates is done by salivary amylase and lipid by lingual lipids. So stomach content becomes more fluid, and when the food approaches the stomach and the pH approaches 2.0 because of its acid content, which help to increase the activity of the pepsin, and this pepsin will begin the breakdown of the protein. Although digestion occurs in the stomach, nutrients are not absorbed there, but the digestion process will be discussed as a separate topic. So lecture 5 will be on small intestine. Small intestine. Small intestine, which play roles in digestion and absorption of nutrients. Small intestine, it plays a key role in enzymatic digestion and absorption of nutrients, and 90% of nutrient absorption occurs in the small intestine. As I said, it's a primary site for absorption. It extends from the pylorus of the stomach to the ileocecal junction, where ileum joins the cecum. So the cecum is the first part of large intestine. So the small intestine is in between the stomach and the large intestine, but the part of the stomach is the pylorus, and the part of the large intestine is the cecum. So the pyloric part of the stomach empties into the duodenum, and duodenal admission is being regulated by the pylorus. There are three parts of small intestine, which are the duodenum, jejunum, and the ileum. So duodenum is about 25 centimeter long and is the first part and shortest part of the small intestine, which is closest to the stomach. It begins at the pylorus on the right side and ends at the duodenojejunal junction on left side. The duodenum pursues a C-shaped course around the head of the pancreas. Mixing bowl that receive chyme from the stomach and digestive secretion from pancreas and liver. So duodenum is like a bowl that receive three things from three areas. It receives chyme from the stomach, digestive secretion from the pancreas, and also from the liver. The functions of the duodenum is to receive chyme from stomach and also to neutralize acid before they can damage the absorptive surfaces of small intestine. So this is the duodenum, which is the C shape, and at that C shape that the pancreas fits in, and that duodenum is about 25 centimeter in length. So the duodenal junction is junction between the duodenum and the jejunum. So that is for the duodenum. The jejunum is the middle segment of the small intestine. It begins at the duodenojejunal junction and joins the ileum. It is about 2.5 meters long, and it is the location of most chemical digestion, nutrient absorption. It has a few plica circularis and small villi. So this is the diagram. This is one that is showing the jejunum, which is about 2.5 meters in length, and it begins at duodenojejunal junction and end at the junction of jejunum with ileum. That is for the jejunum. The ileum is the final segment of the small intestine, and it ends at ileocecal junction, which is the union of the terminal ileum and the cecum. And the ileum on its own is about 3.5 meters long. So together, both jejunum and ileum is about 6 to 7 meter long. The ileum lies in the right lower quadrant, while the jejunum lies in the upper quadrant, left upper quadrant. And there is an ileocecal valve at the ileocecal junction where the ileum joins with the cecum, which is a sphincter that controls the flow of material from the ileum into the large intestine. So this is the picture. We have the ileum, which is about 3.5 meters long, and the small intestine also has the duodenal glands, also called the submucosal gland or Brunner's gland, and this produces a copious quantity of mucus, so that when chyme arrives from the stomach, with the help of the salt released by contained in the bile salt, help to neutralize the acidic content coming from the stomach. When the chyme arrives in the duodenum, the weak peristaltic contraction moves slowly towards the jejunum through the mesenteric reflexes, and they are not under central nervous system control. Parasympathetic stimulation accelerates local peristalsis and segmentation. Also, we have gastroenteric reflexes, which stimulate the motility and secretion along the entire small intestine, and we have the gastroileal reflex that triggers realization of ileocecal valve, which allow materials to pass from small intestine into large intestine. So that is the three type of movement and the reflex that stimulate their movement. The intestinal secretion is a watery intestinal juice, which is about 1.8 liter secretion per day that enter into the intestinal lumen. They are the one that moisten the chyme, they assist in buffering the acid, and they keep the digestive enzymes and product of digestion in solution. So these are the important gastric hormones and their primary effects. The first hormone is the gastrin, which is stimulated by vagus nerve stimulation or arrival of food in the stomach. An arrival of chyme containing large quantity of undigested protein stimulate the release of gastrin. They originate from both stomach and duodenum, and in the stomach they stimulate the production of acid and enzyme and also increases motility. Secretin is another hormone that is stimulated by the arrival of chyme in the duodenum and is originated from the duodenum. So its target organ is the pancreas. It stimulates the production of alkaline bovas by the pancreas, and also it also acts on the stomach to inhibit gastric secretion and motility, since the content of the stomach has been emptied to the duodenum, and it also stimulates the liver to increase the rate of bile secretion in order to neutralize the acid from the stomach. We also have the third hormone, which is called cholecystokinin, which is the arrival of chyme containing lipid and partially digested protein. It originated from the duodenum, and it acts on five structures. We have pancreas. This cholecystokinin stimulates the production of pancreatic enzymes. It also stimulates the gallbladder contraction. 3. It stimulates the duodenum and causes relaxation of sphincter at base of bile duct to allow the uh, secretion from the gallbladder to enter into the duodenum. And also in the stomach, it works like secretin. It inhibits gastric secretion and motility. And in the CNS, it may reduce hunger so that the food will be able to digest. And the fourth one is the gastric inhibitory peptide, which is also due to the arrival of which is stimulated by the arrival of chyme containing large quantity of fat and glucose. So it originated from the duodenum and stomach, but it acts on the pancreas to stimulate the release of insulin, so that due to more arrival of glucose and fat, they'll be able to release the insulin that will convert the excess glucose to glycogen. So these are, apart from the enzyme that we are going to discuss in the major digestion that help to digest the food, these are also some of the hormones that are of good effect that help in controlling the enzyme activity or the activity of this organ in digestion. So these are the four hormones: gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, and gastric inhibitory peptide. So the activities of major digestive tract hormone. When the food enters into the stomach, gastrin is released. This gastrin that's released increases acid production and motility. The food the food that now when the food now leave the stomach and enter into the duodenum, three things are released. We have the gastric inhibitory peptide, we have the secretin, and cholecystokinin. The gastric inhibitory peptide, looking at the arrow, it acts on the pancreas to causes the release of insulin, which it helps to utilize the nutrients by the tissues by converting excess glucose to glycogen. The secretin and cytokinin, when they are released, one, they act on gallbladder to causes secretion of bile and its ejection from gallbladder, and they also act on exocrine pancreas to release enzyme and buffer the acid. So, and when the materials enter into the jejunum, the nutrients are absorbed. So please study this diagram very well to be able to look at the role where the hormones are playing. So the red arrow is showing stimulation, while the blue arrow is showing inhibition. That is why the GIP, that is gastric inhibitory peptide, when they are released, they are the one that will stop the increased acid production and motility by reducing the release of gastrin in the stomach.